So let's see the third story of Steve Jobs, and the title of the story is Death. So he tells the graduate students that how he faced death very closely, and it made him realize that one's time is limited, and therefore he tells us through this story of his that when our time is limited, we need not be influenced by other people. Instead, we should do whatever we wish to do in our life. We should always listen to our heart and intuition. Let's read the story and let's find out what is the message given by Steve Jobs. My third story is about death. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. So he was delivering this lecture in 2005. So it was 2004, a year ago, that he was diagnosed with cancer. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. So he had gone to the doctor, and the doctor advised Steve Jobs that you better go home, and whatever work you wish to complete, better complete it. If there are incomplete tasks to be completed, or if you want to make certain things, certain decisions, then do it, because you have very less time. And Steve Jobs understood that by saying this, it was doctor's code. It was a signal by the doctor that he has to prepare for dying. That is, he does not have much time left with him. He has left with only limited time. I lived with that diagnosis all day, and whatever doctor had told him that he has to prepare to die. He has to make his, he does not have much time left with him. He lived with that diagnosis, with those thoughts throughout the day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy, and later in the evening, he went for a biopsy. Biopsy is a test, and usually in this test, tissues, cells, or fluids is removed from someone's body in order to check the illness. And here the illness is cancer. In order to check whether the patient is suffering from cancer, biopsy is done. So he had biopsy. It turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. But he was diagnosed when the biopsy report came. He was suffering from pancreatic cancer, and doctors told him that it is curable and it would be cured by just a surgery. I had the surgery and I am fine now. And when he was addressing the students, he told that I underwent the surgery and right now I am absolutely fine. So this question we have already answered, children. Now let's go forward and let's see that what Steve Jobs wishes to tell us. This was the closest I have been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. So he says that he faced death very closely, and it was so close that for a few more decades he is not going to face such a kind of situation. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you. And he tells the graduate students that because I have faced it so closely, he can tell them that your time is limited. So don't waste it living someone else's life. So he tells the students that their time is limited. Nobody knows that what is going to happen the next moment. So you have very limited time in your hands. So don't waste your time. And how do we waste our time? We waste our time by living someone else's life. We live according to somebody else's opinion, somebody else's wishes, and we don't do what we wish to do. So that is what Steve Jobs told the graduate students, that realize what you really want to do in your life and do that thing which you wish to do in your life. Don't be trapped by dogma. And they've given you the meaning of dogma, that is to belief or set of beliefs which are held by group or organization, and which others are expected to accept without argument. Without any argument, you accept the beliefs of somebody else. And they tell you here also, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Just because other people are thinking in that way, you also start thinking in that way. Just because other people are doing it, you also start doing the same thing. So don't be trapped by dogma. Do the things which you wish to do. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. So drown out means be louder than another sound and prevent it being heard. So every time your inner voice tells you that, oh, you should do this, right? But what we do, we just subside the inner voice just because the other people's opinions are very dominant. They dominate over us. So that is what Steve Jobs says, that don't let others' opinions dominate your thinking. Instead, listen to your inner voice and do what you want to do. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Now, he also tells that you need to be courageous, because whatever your inner voice is saying, you need to have that confidence that you are able to fulfill that dream of yours, which your inner voice is telling you. So he says that have the courage to follow your heart, what your heart tells you, and your intuition. What is your insight? What is your inner voice telling you to do? Do that thing. They somehow already know what you truly want to become, because it is only your inside, it is your heart which knows that what exactly want you wish to do in your lives. Now, this is what he has told in his third story. Let's see that what he says further. Before we go to the next part, we have a question here, children. Let's answer this question. What does Jobs warn you about life and dogma? So Jobs warns us that our time is limited, so don't waste living someone else's life. And regarding dogma, he says that one should not be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. One should not let the noise of others' opinions dominate their own inner voice. So this is the answer. Now let's go ahead and let's see that what uh, Steve Jobs tells us. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog. In the final issue, on the back cover, they put a photograph of an early morning country road. So Steve Jobs came across a magazine, the Whole Earth Catalog, and on the back cover of the magazine, he saw a photograph of an early morning country road. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And Steve Jobs says that he was very much inspired by the words which were written below the photograph, and that were, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off, and as they concluded, the magazine people had given this as their farewell message. And what was the message? Stay hungry, stay foolish. I have always wished that for myself, and Steve Jobs says that was so inspired that he has believed in this message of the magazine. He has followed it in his life. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. And he tells the graduate students who were listening to him that even you are going to begin your life in a new manner, in a different way. So, I wish the same for you, that you also stay hungry, stay foolish. Now, what do you mean by stay hungry, stay foolish? That is, one should not be contented with whatever the person has achieved, but always keep wanting something more, something new. Try to do new things in your life, because this is the way how the progress will take place. Otherwise, what will happen? The progress will become stagnant. And we know that how the world is changing very fast. You have to go on doing new things. You have to go on exploring things. Then only you can sustain in this world. And therefore he says that always stay hungry. Keep wanting something more, something new. The same way he told that one should always stay foolish, which he also believed in. That is, always keep an open mind. Be ready for new things. Be ready for knowing new things. Be ready for gaining new knowledge. Never think you know everything. You just cannot think that you know everything which is there in this universe, because there is immense knowledge on this universe which we need to know. So always keep an open mind and always be ready to accept new knowledge which comes your way. We have a question here: how does Jobs close his address to graduate students? So we can write that he talks to them, he tells them about Steve Jobs tells them about the whole Earth Catalog magazine, and how he was inspired by the words "Stay hungry, stay foolish" written just below the photograph. It was the farewell message of the magazine, and which he has believed in and he has followed in his life. He wished the same to the graduate students, that is, that they should also stay hungry, stay foolish. I hope the answer is clear, and I also hope, children, that you have understood the lesson. Here is a list of 20 amazing life lessons we can all learn from Steve Jobs. So there are 20 life lessons given over here. Just go through it, children. And if you feel that you have also learned any other amazing life lesson, then you can add to the list. Just go through it. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much.